Well, welcome to another video of joining me on the road, caring for patients. I am Christine Hill, also known as the Leg Lady, because it is a lot easier to say than certified prosthetist orthotist. So thank you for joining me. We are going to be talking a little bit about safety, also a little bit about wound care, and celebrating because one of my patients took his first steps. So let's get to it. So real quick, just wanted to bring up just a couple safety things when it comes to preventing falls, because this patient recently did have a fall. They weren't sure if this abrasion on the bottom of the limb was due to that fall or if he had hit it on something else or something else had happened. They do know it happened when he was not wearing the prosthesis, but it just looks like the top layers of skin just got kind of sheared. Instructed patient therapy to just be putting some A&D ointment on that area before putting on the prosthesis, just to reduce any possible friction between his skin and the liner. But it did bring up the reminder because there was another patient recently, if you remember or saw one of the previous videos, one of my patients had fallen and had a tibial plateau fracture, and that fall occurred as she was transferring from her wheelchair to the living room chair. Be mindful and careful when you are turning, that you're taking little steps when you're turning, trying to transfer without a prosthesis, that you have that foot positioned in such a way that you're not doing a crazy twisting motion as you're transferring. Like I said, just doing what we can to prevent falls. It also brought up the reminder, especially if you are a new amputee. Usually when I'm talking to the patient or their family or caregivers, when it comes to, kind of preparing for them to come home, or even in the skilled nursing facility setting, usually they have bed rails though, so it's not as big of an issue. But having something, just a chair or something by the side of the bed, because there have been times where patients especially got cut off at the end. But main thing is just, especially for new amputees, just having something like a chair by the side of the bed to prevent any potential falls, because I have had patients, especially new amputees, that they're half asleep, they forget, feels like it's still there, and they try and get out of bed and fall to the floor. So just having a chair by the side of the bed can prevent some of those potential falls. So jumping into our patient though, who just took his first steps. So this patient was met him in the skilled nursing facility setting, and he did have a current prosthesis, but he said he never really wore it. He could stand up with it for a few minutes and then it would start to hurt, and never really tried to walk with it. When I asked him some questions about, what are your goals? Would you want to be walking if you had something that was comfortable? And his answer was yes, especially for when he goes back home. His wife is going through cancer treatments right now, so just be keeping them in your thoughts. So that was one of his motivations, so that he can get around the house a little bit easier, especially with everything that his wife is dealing with health-wise as well. So here we're starting with some of those weight shift exercises, putting weight onto the left side, putting weight onto the right side. And those weight shift exercises really, I know they seem really dumb and tedious, but they make a big difference when strengthening those little muscles for balance. It also helps with proprioception, so like learning where that limb is in space, and just getting more used to the prosthesis. And so we do the side to side, so putting all your weight onto the left side, putting all your weight onto the right side. Also forward and back, so putting weight onto the heel, putting weight onto the toe, and that's going to help get a feel for that foot and how that foot moves and how that foot functions and how that's going to be reflected up and felt by your residual limb. And then we also do taking a step forward and doing diagonals each side, and especially with transfemoral amputees, practice taking steps in place, having the knee bend, getting to know that feeling. And so here he is taking some of his first steps. And you know, this is his first time, so you see him looking down to the floor, and you know, with it being his first time, I'm fine with that. And they were using, you see they do have a mirror, but they were using that with another patient, because typically I will suggest like the mirror in front of them so that they can be looking forward and looking at their posture. Yeah, really proud of him, and really thankful for that rehab team, because they are an awesome team that really do care about their patients. Really proud of him, so go ahead and give him some love and support down in the comments. Next up, we are going to look at some just residual limb healing stuff. This gentleman recently had an above knee amputation surgery following he broke and injured his foot, and you know, other health complications including diabetes and poor circulation. And so this is about 3 to 4 weeks post surgery, and you can see he has all of his sutures taken out, so this area looks really good and this area is looking really good. He does have this scabbed area here, and you can see a little redness around the edges. That's nothing that we're really concerned about. I did tell him, you know, don't mess with it. When it comes to scabs, just let them kind of take care of themselves. Did let him know there'll probably be a little bit of bleeding, drainage when that scab does fall off, and that's pretty normal, so nothing to be too concerned about. He did, however, also have a small wound on the back of his leg, and you can see where there's that dark area in the middle, and you got that redness around it, and then that white ring, which is kind of that dead tissue. And one thing I talked to him about when it came to this is they had a small patch on there with like healing ointment, but to hold it on, they had used this Coban tape, which, I mean, it's nice that it sticks to itself, so you're not sticking anything tacky to the skin, which is beneficial, especially if you have more fragile skin. But the problem with it, even if you don't put a lot of tension on it, there's still some tension on this. And so when they had wrapped it around his limb to hold that healing patch in place, it kind of roped, and you can see right along here where that Coban had kind of roped in, and it was kind of like a constricting effect, which unfortunately probably caused more harm than good in this case. And also where that spot is, it's right kind of at the edge of his wheelchair cushion. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you are going to be using a wheelchair for an extended time, typically just kind of those sling seats that they come with isn't the best for positioning. Look into getting a wheelchair with kind of more flatter base and a little bit better cushion. Even if you're not having a high pressure area, even if it's just low pressure, it's not painful. Even low pressure, but over a long period of time, can still cause issues to the skin, especially if you're a diabetic. Just being very mindful of foot positioning and things like that, just to prevent any possible pressure areas that could lead to wounds and injury to your skin. Went ahead and casted him just to get that process started, because we like to get patients up and going as quick as possible. I don't have his cast with me, but I will pull up his scan. So we did have to splint a little bit. There's the scan of his limb, and we got colored, and so we'll get this sent off and got him scheduled next week for the check socket fitting, so stay tuned for that. All right, you guys take care. Mwah.